Are you looking to run Pinterest ad campaigns, specifically a Pinterest conversion campaign, and wondering how to get started, some strategy tips, and maybe optimization best practices, and a tutorial on how to set it up? Well, today's video is going to walk you through all of that. If you are new here, hi, hello, my name is Heather Farris, and I run a Pinterest agency, this YouTube channel, and a paid membership group where I teach and implement all things Pinterest strategy, paid and organic marketing. So if you are not new here, hi, hello, welcome back. Let's dive right on in. We're gonna just jump right into the tutorial, and then after the tutorial, we're gonna talk strategy and optimization notes that you should be aware of with your Pinterest conversion campaigns. So let's dive right on into what I know you are probably here for. Let's talk about creating your conversion ad campaigns. So a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Upload your Pinterest images to Pinterest, fully optimized for your ads before you get started. And I would go ahead and encourage you to do your keyword research that you want to add to the campaign before you get started as well. That way, as soon as you start the campaign and you start creating it, you can pop those things in and you're not waiting on any other elements. You can just create the campaign and publish. So let's assume we already have all of that done. We're going to go to ads and create ad. I'm also assuming that you have already installed your conversion tag if you're running a conversion campaign and you already have events firing on that campaign. To find that out, you will go to ads and conversions. And inside the conversions screen is where your tag lives. You'll also be able to see any events that have fired off in the last 3, 7, 14, and 30-day time period. So these are all of the ads that or ad events that I can optimize for in my own Pinterest ad campaigns. So go to ads and create ad. And on this screen, you want to go ahead and choose conversions. Conversions are for people who want to drive people to take a very specific action, and the campaign will optimize based on that event. I like to do whatever I'm promoting for my naming convention. You can do something completely different if you want to, but let's just say this is my strategy guide, and we're going to do a video ads. I'm already running a campaign just like this right now. However, we're going to set this up as if it's brand new. I would suggest not starting with anything less than $20 per day in 2022 for conversion campaigns. Otherwise, you really run the risk of not getting the conversions as quickly as you want. The algorithm may take longer to optimize, and it may just take you longer, and you may end up losing more money than you are wanting. So I would suggest a minimum of $20 a day for content creators like myself promoting email list opt-ins, promoting digital products, or if you're e-commerce and you are promoting physical products. If you're e-commerce promoting physical products, I would actually take a look at your cost of goods sold and potentially budget higher for that. So if your product is $50 and it takes you $15 to get a purchase, then you know that $20 a day should be about good. All campaigns on Pinterest now are campaign budget optimization. So you have to put your budget on this campaign screen. So go ahead and input your budget, leave it as daily, and leave it as run continuously. Click continue and name your ad group. I like to name my ad group based on the targeting that we are using. So in this, if I stick this in here, you'll see I have a few that I have used before. So we'll do keywords and interests plus expanded targeting. From here in your targeting details, you have 3 options. Those 3 options are reconnect with users. So that's if you're wanting to do a retargeting campaign, find new customers if you're wanting to go more broad and get new people into your campaign, or choose your own. I always choose my own. I never choose these 2. But if you're new to Pinterest ads and you have no experience in here, you may choose one of those. However, I'm going to walk you through what I do. So choose your own and skip past the audience list. This campaign setup is a cold campaign. So if we are creating a cold conversion campaign looking for new people, we're prospecting, this is what we're doing. We're going to come into our keywords and we are going to look at the interests first. So if you are at all confused about what interest you should choose, I would suggest going to your audience insights. inside your audience insights, you are going to see your total audience, and you can go to engaged audience if you would like to. I'm just going to go with total audience on Pinterest, and I can see that the affinity is actually the highest for people in finance, and then from there it goes way down. Now, a lot of people, for me, are interested in finance, and a lot of business interests actually map over to the finance side of things as well. However, there are some people, for me, that are also interested in education, quotes, things like that. So take a look at your audience insights. If I were a finance blogger or finance creator, I would definitely be all over finance, and I would choose all of them. However, for those of us that we don't have as many interests that map over, you may go ahead and choose the L2, L3 interests. L2, L3 literally just means this is the level 1 interest. And if I were to narrow down in here, amphibians would be a level 2. If I were to narrow down into animal and pet supplies, bird supplies would be a level 3, and so on. So I would come in here and I would choose finance for this campaign. And then you can see that's going to give me about 3 million people. I can go ahead in here and look for like internet marketing. That's bringing up business and advertising design. Everything in finance is already going to be chosen. But small business, I would search for things like that too to see if there's anything else that's going to come up. Or like social media. Sometimes those will come up, and like web and app design or theater media. Theater media is not going to be good for me. And then from here, I would add my keywords. So I have a list of keywords I've already actually been using on Pinterest. I'm going to go grab those right now. Okay, I'm going to paste in my keywords. If you are utilizing keywords and interest as a pairing for your strategy on Pinterest conversion ads, I wouldn't suggest adding a ton of keywords into the campaign. The keywords are really there to guide your campaign overall, to help the algorithm to understand who's searching for your product. Now, that doesn't mean the keywords are not going to serve, because they will. However, interests are almost always going to suck up all of the budget from the targeting. So just keep that in mind. It says best practice is to use a minimum of 25. I would start with that. Add any keywords that are related or relevant to your campaign. They don't just have to be about the topic at hand. So for interest, for example, for me, I'm using Pinterest marketing opt-in here. So I could also do keywords for tailwind, keywords for social media marketing, Instagram, Facebook, because I know my audience is also interested in those other things, and they may be searching for those other things, not knowing that they actually need what I am giving them or what I'm presenting to them in the ad. So you can add things that are not just Pinterest, for example. All right. I should say you can add things that are not just directly on topic, for example. You don't want to go too far off topic though. Okay, under demographics, I always suggest leaving your demographics wide open. What does that mean, wide open? All genders, all ages, all locations, all languages, all devices. Leaving it on all, especially if you're just targeting in the United States, is going to help Pinterest to better find your audience. Use your demographics as an optimization method in weeks 2 to 4 and beyond. So you don't want to start by narrowing your campaign down too much, because then Pinterest is going to be strangleholded, and they're not going to know who to serve to. So always start broad. I leave these always open, and with one exception, I always remove men. I really just don't want to serve men in my business. I don't have any interest in men in general, helping them. You know, no offense if you're a man watching this, but I just had a lot of bad luck working with men over the years. And for all my ads, they actually cost me a lot more money. So I always toggle them off. I usually advise my clients to do the same, because in a lot of cases, my clients are women serving women. All right, so moving on. Placement, I always leave the same, and I don't put any tracking URLs in this section. I actually wait to put tracking URLs on the individual pins if I'm going to do tracking. Your budget is set at the campaign level, so there's nothing for you to do here. And your conversion tag. So the conversion tag will automatically be selected, and this is where you need to choose your conversion event. So for me, if I were driving for signups, I would leave this defaulted to actually leads because I have more leads on my tag than signups. So I would switch that to leads, but these are the 4 that I can actually run conversion campaigns to. Leave the bidding on automatic. It says new. This is not new. This has been around for a few years, and Pinterest is really, really smart when it comes to optimizing your campaigns based on bids at auction if it's automatic. If you set a custom bid, you do get to set a target average cost per day, and then you get to set a conversion window. I would not do this if you're brand new. Just go with automatic. Now it's time to select your pins, and this is where the best practice is actually upload those pins before you get started. Always upload your pins organically to Pinterest. That way you can double dip in the organic side of things and the paid side of things. So if you only upload them promoted, you are required to let the ad run and for people to save that before anyone else can see it organically. But if you upload it organically, people can see it and it will live on the profile forever. And it just gathers a lot of juice. So I just prefer to upload them organically and add them into the campaign in the last step. So make sure you fully optimize the pin title, the pin description, the landing page before you come in here and actually upload that pin. Now, if you don't know what pin you want to use, if it's not the most recent one that you've uploaded, then you may want to go to your boards and find it there. There's another way that you can actually find pins on Pinterest, and that's by searching for the pin ID. Let me show you how that works. So I have a lot of pins on my profile. Sometimes it's hard to find what I actually want to use and promote, especially if I've promoted it before, it did well before, and it's just been a long time since I've seen it. So what I'll do is I'll go to saved, I'll find the pin. In this case, we're just gonna pop a pin out of Pinterest marketing strategy into the ad. So I'm gonna come in here. This one actually does really well for me. You can see that it has 5.8K views. That's because I promoted it before. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this number right here in the URL bar, copy it, and we're gonna pop back over to our other screen, and we're gonna click the search bar, and we're gonna paste that pin ID in here and hit enter. Don't forget to hit enter. And it will take a minute to populate, but it will find your pin ID. There it is. You can always click to see if you can make any edits just real quick. There should be a save button. If this isn't working, it's a glitch. Just so you know, we had an issue with a client recently where we couldn't save any edits inside the ads manager. Make sure it is a fresh pin and you uploaded it to the profile and it's not been saved from the original. If that's the case, if you can't edit it, it's probably because you saved it to a different board, so it's actually a copy. Okay, so use Pinterest to grow your sales. That's the title. The full title should show up. You can always pop this open on Preview Pin on your mobile app. All you have to do is open up your mobile device. You will get a notification and it will say, hey, come in here. I know it's going to be really hard to see on this teeny tiny little screen, but you'll get a notification to come in here and actually preview your ad. That is what it should look like in the preview app. That way you can see what the full title and pin actually looks like as an ad. And once you are ready to go, all you have to do is hit the publish button and the ad will go into automatic review. It should go live really quickly and start spending. A lot of people will message me and say, hey, my ad's been on for 10 hours. It hasn't spent anything. What's going on? Is that a problem? Chances are it just hasn't had time to serve to the right audiences that you chose. And if you really narrowed down your targeting in the beginning, then you have a good chance of that ad actually not showing up. So here's the one that we set up, has no spend. Here are the other two that we have set up that I'm testing landing page performance on. That is it. That's how you set up a conversion campaign. Now that you've watched the full Pinterest conversion tutorial, I'm going to talk to you about my most commonly used Pinterest conversion campaign setup strategy. So normally I do one campaign, one ad group because Pinterest ads are campaign budget optimization. And a lot of times clients will come to me with their Pinterest ads they're already running and they are not set up in a way that is Pinterest friendly. They're actually setting up ads that are more Facebook strategy versus Pinterest strategy. So I just want to let you know with conversion budget optimization, your budget is going to be spread across the winning ads and the winning ad sets or ad groups. So I prefer one campaign, one ad group. However, if you are testing and you have a little bit of a bigger budget, let's say a minimum of $40 a day, then you can do one campaign, two ad groups, and then decide from the ad group level what you want to test. So if you want to test keywords versus interests, then everything in the campaign, including the images, would be the same. However, if you wanted to test imagery and video against each other, so standard static pins versus video ads, you could do one campaign, two ad groups, and have all your static images in one ad group and all of your video images or your videos in the other ad group. Everything else would remain the same across both ad groups. So in that case, I would create the one campaign, the one ad group, and then duplicate the ad group, remove the images down below, and add the videos or the static images in. That way you know you've set your one ad group up, all the targeting and everything is exactly the same. You don't have to toggle back and forth between windows, and then you can just add whatever the opposite was of the first ad group. You can do this in so many different ways. I wouldn't suggest having too many ad groups in your campaign if you don't have a big enough budget. So somebody recently came to me with a $20 per day campaign budget, and they had 7 ad groups. Almost every single ad group was serving on the automatic level of interest, so mainly the smart feed for most people, and very few of the ad groups were actually getting any spend. You're not going to know very quickly with a small budget and a lot of ad groups which one is going to work the best. So, one campaign, one ad group. You can test multiple different campaigns, targeting strategies, interests. Just make sure they don't overlap over each other and begin to compete. That's the only thing to note. Now, a couple of optimization things that you should be aware of when you are running conversion campaigns. You shouldn't touch the campaign in the first 7 days at a minimum. If within the first 7 days your imagery has not reached 0.55% on your click-through rate, that is the only thing at that point I would change about the entire campaign. You can go ahead and upload new images. I would start with 3 images, and you can upload up to 5 total. So if you start with 3, that gives you within that 7-day time frame 2 more to upload to see if Pinterest will like those better. Then at week 2, remove any of the underperforming images based on that click-through rate of 0.55. The click-through rate has to be 0.55 on conversion campaigns or higher to deliver in the algorithm and to beat out your competition at auction. So aim for 1%, but know that you need to beat that 0.55%. All right, up next, don't change your budget more than 25 to 30% every 3 to 4 days. Up or down, because this is going to force your campaign back into learning and could reset everything about your campaign that was working at the time. So don't go and scale your budget 75 to 100%. Don't go doubling and tripling it. And then when that freaks out the campaign, drop it back down again. So just stick to 25 to 30% and do gradual scaling on this platform. Next up, don't change your placements too often, because this can also force your campaign back into learning and confuse the overall algorithm. In fact, we hardly ever change placements with our agency clients. Usually we're changing placements because the campaign is on its last leg and we are doing everything at that point for basically CPR to get it to perform again. There is something that you should know with conversion campaigns. When you are filtering down by where your campaign is serving, so when you're in the ad group level and you go to that little targeting drop down at the top left of your or the top right of your table, you can choose audience, and ideally in an ideal world, we used to be able to see what audiences we're serving, and then they took it away. So you can ask your ads rep which placement is actually performing the best for you. If you notice in your campaign when you filter by interests, the majority of your budget is being spent on automatic, that is the browse placement, and that's basically the home feed for the majority of people who saw that ad. So if you are noticing your campaign is just spending all on automatic, make sure you don't go and turn off browse, because that will also tank that performance for automatic. So campaign fatigue is actually a real issue that you may have to deal with. We have one client in our agency roster where her campaign will fatigue about once a month, but this campaign has actually been running for almost a year. So what we do about once a month or maybe twice a month is actually update her imagery. We got the campaign completely optimized down to a point where we actually get really good results for the goals that we have set out, which is sales, checkouts. Our interests are dialed in, our keywords are dialed in, so every now and then we'll actually have to go and change out the imagery. So we'll take the campaign from static images to video and from video to static a couple times a month, just when those fatigue out. So keep an eye on your frequency levels inside of your ads reporting dashboard. If you notice your frequency is getting above a 2 or even above a 3, then you know that your audience is really small and Pinterest is burning through it really fast and therefore showing your ads a lot. So you need to make sure you're staying up to date on your images as a whole in order to keep the campaign performing at its best. So if you get to a point where you've optimized your campaign completely, there's nothing more that you want to remove, nothing more you want to add, and you are capping out on your frequency or your campaign performance has gone down or week over week, month over month, your goal, if it's checkouts or signups, is going downhill as well, then change your imagery and make sure to stay on top of that. The last thing I will note is optimization. So do not start optimizing your campaign for targeting until at least 14 days. Ideally, you're actually going to wait 21 days to start doing this because Pinterest does take a lot longer to optimize as a platform for your ads. The longer your ads have been running, the better they usually perform. If you have a dialed in product, if you have a dialed in audience that you really know is converting. So I don't usually start optimizing anything in our agency clients until about day 21, but I would say minimum is 14. That's when you can start peeling out any demographics that are underperforming on click-through rate, that are too high on CPM, maybe they're too high on whatever else that you care about as far as metrics. But oftentimes what we will do is remove any underperforming interests. So if the cost per action is too high, even though we're getting checkouts, and we can get checkouts lower at a lower cost per action on a different interest in the campaign, we'll remove the underperforming ones. Typically, I'm also looking at click-through rate and add to carts for that. So if you're not getting any add to carts after 14 days on your interests, that could be a good indicator that you need to remove that interest and allow the campaign to spend elsewhere. The last thing that you are going to want to do in your optimizations is archiving any campaigns after 14 to 30 days. This is a big window of time. We don't archive keywords a ton in our agency client campaigns. It's a one-off thing that we will do on occasion, maybe monthly. We will remove keywords that are just underperforming. If you have hundreds of keywords in your campaign, none of them are spending, none of them are getting anything on them, you can go ahead and archive those campaign keywords and let the campaign try to push that budget somewhere else. If you notice that the campaign is spending 1 cent, 2 cents, up to like 10 cents on keyword, but you're not seeing anything on them, go ahead and get rid of them and allow that money to be spent elsewhere. And that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's or this year's updated conversion tutorial video for Pinterest ads. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I know I needed to update it and give you guys a clear, new, updated walkthrough. Just a note, if you are watching this in current day, filmed in September of 2022, Pinterest is really shifting towards holiday sales right now. So if you haven't started your holiday campaigns, if you're going to run a Black Friday promotion at all, if you're going to run Christmas ads at all, go ahead and get your Pinterest ads started now and start warming your audience up. Moving into October, you're going to want to move into more conversion campaigns, really dialing those conversion campaign spends up into November when shipping and purchasing is at its highest. So just a warning for holiday advertisers, now is your time. And that's it for this week. Head on over here and watch these Pinterest ads videos, and I will see you right back here next week.